meantime, request all to be alert.
Good afternoon, Joshua sir.
Good afternoon. Good afternoon.
Rama sir, good afternoon. Joshua sir, good afternoon, sir.
Sir, very good afternoon to you.
We will wait for next 2 minutes and then we will start shortly. So once again, thanks to all the attendees. Welcome you to the session of FFFAI on the advanced ruling, which is a very important topic. It's nice to see you again on these webinars. This is the only way, virtual way, we can be very effective and immediate attendance. And with this, without taking more time, I would request our chairman, Mr. Vijay sir, to please open up the session on this webinar. Thank you.
Thank you, Shankar. Good afternoon to all. Thank you, Mr. Joshua, for accepting our invitation and come for a presentation to our members about advance ruling. All our members are aware of that. Now we are facing a lot of problem in the changes in the customs and all other areas. And for the last 2-3 years, we are discussing about how to improve our members' area of working and how we can improve our own revenues and our own profession to enter into different areas. For the past 3-4 years, we are discussing about that, and we have an opportunity now for that. All the members are aware that the CBIC has issued a circular on that 1 of 2021 dated for January about advance ruling. So we have with us Mr. Joshua to explain about this advance ruling, how our members can use that opportunity to improve our area of business. And of course, it's really, there are a lot of other opportunities also for that, but this will be one of the very, very important subject our members can utilize this opportunity. So I once again welcome all the members. Today, Thursday afternoon, we have more than a large number of participants are attending this program. And definitely this will be very, very useful for our members. And I once again welcome all my office bearers and my fellow members to use this opportunity. And after this presentation, of course, you can ask these questions and you can ask your questions in the question answer box. And Mr. Dushyant and Shankar will take the further questions and we can discuss on that. I once again thanks Mr. Joshua for being with us today. And
Thank you, sir.
I welcome once again everybody, and the floor is open for Mr. Joshua.
Thank you, Mr. Vijay sir, for opening up the session. And without just for the information of the members attending the webinar, we are already live on the YouTube, and we have more than at least 300 registrations for this webinar. So it just shows the very important part for our industry, for our fraternity, and good opportunity, as our chairman sir has said. And we look forward for the contribution from all the sides. With this, I would now request Mr. Dushyant Mulani, Honorary Secretary, to introduce the speaker and open up. Thank you, Mr. Dushyant Mulani.
Yeah, good afternoon all. So wishing you all a very happy new year and a prosperous new year. This is our first web series that FFFAI has started again in this 2021, and wish to see everybody in best of the health. First and foremost, friends, this afternoon we are fortunate to have a well-experienced person with us, Mr. Joshua Abenzer, who's been around in this industry for more than 3 decades. Huge experience. His journey has been a very prolific one, from a few multinationals like DHL, and then moving on to law firms, reputed law firms like Lakshmi Kumar and Sridharan. He was a director there, handling international trade and customs advisory. Mr. Joshua has a huge exposure with World Trade Organization, World Custom Organization, regular interaction with CBIC on trade facilitation agreement matters, Ministry of Commerce. European Union laws and custom laws, and least to mention custom laws such as transfer pricing, SVB, classification, constitutional matters in law, IPR, etc. And he's been a, one of our Man Friday or uh, friend who is always available to guide any custom broker in these matters. And to start with, when we just mooted this idea, he was the one, he said, this is a notification 1 of 2021 non-tariff is a gift to custom brokers given by CBIC. And we should grab this opportunity and enhance our level and represent in matters of advanced rulings, which will help our clients considerably. So I will not take any further time. Joshua, you've been a huge help to our fraternity and FFFAI. Over to you to brief the House. Thank you, Joshua.
Thank you, Dushan, Chairman-elect, and all the members and all our entrepreneurs, custom brokers, and other friends. Good evening to all of you. It's indeed my pleasure to get associated with you and to share some of the insights which I have this evening with you. All right. So I would like to start this session. I've done a lot of sessions with the CBA, FFFAI, but this particular session made me to think in some of your lives, maybe after 2 hours, you might take a decision to even change your course for the betterment of your own business. You know, there are a lot of treasures are hidden in this one subject. I have a reason for reiterating this statement. There are a lot of hidden treasures are hidden. So I would urge all the members for the next 45 minutes to 60 minutes at the max to pay close attention, where we may not get another opportunity like this globally, also with Indian customs. Because always opportunities, you are all entrepreneurs at a stage that you have seen, which others could not have seen. That's why you are there as an entrepreneur. That's why you are MDs and chairmen and CEOs of many countries. Why? Because you read between the lines and you have capitalized it. You seized it. So I urge you in 2021, though people may say it's a rough path that we have crossed 2020 and we are in 2021, many of us may have a question before us, what lies ahead, how this year is going to be. I would encourage you in this month, at the beginning of this month, the risk green pasture for those who see the unseen opportunities. It is a sure shot opportunity. Again and again, I'm reiterating that we as a community, the custom broker, the powerful, learned, knowledgeable community can prevail over anyone, any professional services offered in this space. So hear me with that open mind. And I would like to be as simple without using any technical jargon and to take this session in 3 parts. If I may, can you help me sharing my screen? Okay, you are able to see my screen?
Yes, sir, we can see your screen.
All right.
Just need to open up the PPT.
Done, sir. All right. So I would like to.
Joshua, can you just again restart, because your main screen is not to be seen. PPT screen is not to be seen. It's time. Yeah. Now share.
How's it now?
Yeah, that's good. Yeah. Now just, yeah, good. Just switch on the slide share.
How's it? Clear?
You still need to put the slideshow viewing on.
Good to go?
Yes, yes, you can proceed.
It's clear, no?
Yes,
Shankar?
yes.
Okay.
Yes, yes.
All right. So I would like to divide this session into three parts. The first one is going to be an overview why this advanced ruling emerged at this point of time at top. For some of you, advanced ruling is not something new. We heard this. It is existing. It is existing in our system. But what is the significance of this new regulation and what are the background behind this? So we'll see that and the importance and the significance. And the second one, we will move to the current regulation and the intricacies of that regulation, though we are not going to do in a workshop mode, but we will touch upon certain critical aspects which you should know. And the third part, what is in it for Indian customs broker? And then we will take some question answer. So this is how I had planned it. So let's see how we can move forward. So there are people in this forum. I am struggling. Okay. There are people in this forum are familiar with the trade facilitation agreement. For those people who are not much familiar, I wanted to give you one basic input on this trade facilitation. This is something which is in force in India. If a country like India, developing country, if we implement Marxist figures, we as a country will be saving about 13 to 15% of global trade cost. So 1% is equal to 40 billion US dollar. So the savings are predicted by OECD. Even World Bank seconded this. So which means there is a trade facilitation agreement. This agreement came into force, many sessions took place in 17 or 16 onwards post ratification. And most of you would have known many sections under the trade facilitation and the articles as well. I am here to show you a glimpse of section 1. Okay. In section 1, we have 12 articles. If you like it or if you don't like it, focus only on the articles which I had underlined, Article 3 and Article 4, which talks about advance ruling. And 4 talks about the procedures for appeal. So which means there is an advance ruling for the member countries to be implemented. Maybe if you are interested further, you can go to Trade Facilitation Agreement and read what is written there in Article 3 and 4. So it is recommending all the members to have a uniform method to approach advance ruling authority. So that's all I wanted to communicate to you. I hope you have understood there is a need, and India has an obligation on its part to fulfill these articles seen in the screen. So which means we have a definite timeline of 5 years from the date of ratification. That is 2022. We should be completely implementing all these articles. For those people who have not heard about trade facilitation agreement, I think you should understand this in this way. All right.
So Joshua, sorry to interrupt. Can we, your main slide, we can have it like a broader one. If you can change the display setting, because we are seeing the next slide also, which is basically reducing the size of the main slide. Are you also able to resize it with that line in between?
There should be an option at the top, display settings.
Okay. How's it now?
No, it's not yet done.
But you are able to see my screen, right?
Yeah, now it's
now
fine.
better. Yeah, now proper.
Proper. Okay, great. Thanks for this, sir. All right. So you have an article very clearly there written. So those people who wanted to see what is this article, Article 3 reads like this. WTO Trade Facilitation Agreement requires members to have advanced ruling on tariff classification, non-preferential origin of goods with the provision of the article. Members are also encouraged to use advanced ruling for other areas of customs like valuation and other requirements for relief or exemption from customs duties. So what this article says that basically you need to have three things very clearly. Number one, you need to have customs tariff HSN classification, origin, and valuation. Three things are very important. All right. This was seconded in revised Kyoto Convention Standard 9.9 also. Okay, so these rules are further amplified in RKC, and it says it's binding on both sides, and it also talks about the scope and the notification, and there it also prescribed the time limits, wherein we don't have the time limit in India, which we will see later. Okay, so now Article 4 also talks about how a member can appeal further if there is a order issued by an authority, how you can further appeal. It talks about Article 4.2 and 4.4. These are all an extract from Trade Facilitation Agreement. Nothing great about it. All right. Now, very important and a crucial information which I'm going to share it with you. If possible, read it along with me to get excited. Mark my word, to get excited. The study on the impact of trade facilitation measures on trade cost, because I told you in the beginning, if a country implements trade facilitation agreement, they will save the trade cost to a certain percentage. Now you read it with that backdrop. OECD identified advanced ruling system was the most impactful single trade facilitation measure. Can you believe this? In a country, in India, we as custom broker have never dealt with advanced ruling. Probably those people who are there in 2004 or to early 2000, we would have definitely seen the orders of BMW, Harley Davidson, Oracle, Prajesh Marketing on the NSOP. So these are some landmark judgments which we would have seen. Not much, but you see how OECD is bringing an inference. They say advanced ruling system was the most impactful single trade facilitation measure. See, there are indicators. There are trade facilitation indicators. If you go to the portal, you can see what are those indicators. So when you combine it, the underlined statement which I had shown, which reads like this: advanced ruling alone, the impact of trade cost was estimated to be a reduction of 5.4%. If you understand 1% is equal to $40 billion. So in a country where it is effectively implementing advanced ruling, and if it is up and running, the savings were estimated at 5.4%. My dear friends, if you have a calculator, use it to convert this amount to believe. This is the only measure which is contributing to this level. That is why I started this session with a statement saying that in 2021, God himself given us this opportunity, and you should open your eyes and pay close attention to seize this opportunity. So we are not talking about just a regulation. There are so many regulations, subordinate regulations issued, but this particular regulation, one of 2021, definitely has a significant role in your life. If you don't believe in India, if you don't believe what all this, okay, all are in paper. Practically, we are struggling to get our normal clearances. Practically, we are struggling to handle post-clearance audit, which is also part of this trade facilitation agreement under Article 7.5 AEOs. We were not successful. What are you talking about? A new ruling under Article 3 and Article 4, which is substantial in reducing global trade costs. I will give you one proof in the next slide. Let's take one developed country. We are a developing country. So let's take a developed country and see what I am saying is going to work for you. Work actually, has it happening or no? If you take European Union, all of you may be familiar with this words called BTI, BVI, BOI. BTI stands for Binding Tariff Information. Okay, so today we will diverge a little bit on BTI. BVI stands for Binding Valuation Information. And BOI stands for Binding Origin Information. So some of you are very familiar. For those people who are not very familiar, take this from me. The whole world customs is standing on these three pillars. Anyone who wants to call yourself as an expert in the world customs or in India, you need to have a knowledge on these three pillars. What are they? You can just write it down in a piece of paper. Tariff, that is HSN, knowledge in how to do a good classification, how to arrive a good determination of valuation, and now origin. Maybe 2 years back, when I spoke to you in a different platform, I mentioned about origin as a pillar. Nobody believed. Today, after Carota, now you know the significance of Section 28DA and how Carota regulation is enforced and how it's creating a perennial problem for those small industry who are not aligned or in a compliant way. So if you see, these three things are the basic of customs in any country. In European Union, they have this advanced ruling named in these three nomenclatures, nothing else. What we call it as AAR, they are calling it as BTI, BVI, and BOI. Our Section 28H also talking about these three, and we also have another three complement, which we will see little later. All right. Now, 1991 onwards, European Union is it has 29 states, member states, and they have 10 lakh BTA decisions, which means 1 million BTA decisions issued since 1991, exactly from the time the globalization taken place, when the boundaries were disappearing, when the marketplace are seen as countries, when the borders are shrinking rapidly. Ever since that we experienced globalization, European Union experienced till date, maybe this data I have taken in 2018, so you can go up to 18 November, it's close to 1 million. Now, BTA decisions only in 2018 is 250,000, which means every importer in European Union, before they export or before they import into their country, they don't take chance. They don't want any surprise from the customs department, later stage saying that you have done something wrong. They wanted to be sure before I could import, is this a correct classification? Is this a correct duty that I'm going to pay? I don't want any surprise. You better tell me now. So they go fearlessly and they go and ask for every matters and they get the ruling, which means on an average in a year, there are 50,000. I'm not talking about BVI and BOI, only BTA, only classification, 50,000 decisions are being pronounced. Now, this is binding on all post-Brexit 28 states. Now, B2 from India often refer to these decisions to see what they are talking about, those advanced products. Now, the most surprising factor for you to believe what I said in the previous slide, how it constitutes 5.4% global trade cost. Take these 5 countries. These 5 countries in European Union alone have issued more than 83% of decisions. And especially in Germany, 56% of European Union's decisions. So ladies and gentlemen in this forum today, think we are not dealing with a regulation which is uncertain. We are dealing with a regulation which is proven, having a proven track, and OECD has given a clear-cut projection that this will be the saving, which means litigation will go down, no doubt about it. Transparency will come out, time-bound manner. Definitely, this is going to be a boon for the Indian traders, importers, and exporters. Okay. With this backdrop, I just want you to see. Some of you may think, okay, there are so much significance. Now let me focus more. You need to know these provisions are not new in our Act. 1998, 99, 2003 legal provisions are there. The advanced ruling rules also notified in 2002. Okay. But in 2017, we got this merged, this advanced ruling authority got merged with direct tax in 2017. I will explain why. Under Section 245O of Income Tax Act 1961, this got merged with, which means customs, excise, service tax, and direct tax together. There is a chair formed, but it was not functional, which all of you are aware about the past history in our country. But we had a compelling obligation under the TFA to constitute not only an authority, also under Article 4, an appellate mechanism. When TFA came into force, we do not have these provisions in our Customs Act. So we told the global community, that is WTO, we will keep this in category B right now. Immediately, we will do some work in our Customs Act. And they brought in amendments. Section 28E has been introduced. And amendment introduced for Article 3. New provisions introduced for Article 4, which means statutorily, we now have a complete authority and also an appellate authority. So we have framed this. Now, it is now come into operation from 4th of January this year under the name of Customs Authority on Advanced Rulings Regulation 2021. So this is a small genesis which you should keep it in your mind. So which means it is not a new beast, it is an old beast come in a new form. That's all you need to keep in your mind. All right. Now we will move into part 2 of this regulation. What is an advanced ruling and why this advanced ruling and when this can be taken? These are the questions which comes in your mind. So we will explain all these kind of things and we will discuss the procedures, etc. Okay. A concept of advanced ruling I had already shared with you. It is binding on both ways, avoid litigation, transparency for importers and exporters, also promotes FDI. Okay. If you see the definition, what is there in our Customs Act, advanced ruling means it's a written decision. It's not an oral decision, it's a written decision for the questions referred in Section 28H. So I would commend if you have the regulation and the act with you, it will be very easy. Otherwise, you can write it down also. What is there in Section 28H? It is imperative that we move to Section 28 and see that also. I have a slide on that. I'll still show you that Section 28H. By way of an application, in respect of any goods prior to its importation or exportation. So the brokers community in India needs to understand that we have a mechanism not only for import, even for export, you can approach this authority and you can see only those 6 parameters mentioned in Section 28H, which we will see a little later. For some of you, this is not a new thing for direct tax. Their definition says, only for your understanding, I brought in this direct tax definition also. If you read this underlined, highlighted words, it says a transaction which has been undertaken or is proposed to be undertaken. But in our customs, there is no past transaction. It is only for the new transactions. Okay, and that too under the criteria of 28I, which we will see that as also. Okay, so which means direct tax advanced ruling is slightly different from customs advanced ruling. That you need to have a clear understanding. All right. Now, if it is the questions which I said before that, who can apply? This is the first question which comes in your mind. Now, if I have an advanced ruling, all of us are custom brokers. Now we have importers. When I speak to some importers, nobody is heeding. I can give you a live example. There are matters very easily can be taken into an advanced ruling. Okay, of course, we don't have a full-fledged advanced ruling operational currently, but it is likely to come up. But still people do not think, they think either the litigation route by taking an order and they're appealing and they're going forward. But you as a broker, if you understand who all can apply, it will help you to explain to your clients. Number one, earlier it was only restricted to NRIs because the whole purpose, the market opened in 1991, new economic programs, NEP formed. They wanted to attract foreign companies. So it was restricted to NRI in the initial days. Later on, this was open to joint ventures because many people came and said, see, I am an NRI, but still I cannot come into your country on my own. I need a 4951 participation. So I have a joint venture. So they said, okay, we will amend our section and we will invite joint ventures also. Now, after TFA, I mentioned to you a while ago, in 2017, we made an amendment. So post TFA, Article 3 insistence, we made an amendment in Section 28 where we said, any person holding a valid IEC, which means as a broker that we need to know anyone who possesses an IEC under Section 7, issued under Section 7 of FTDR. There are in foreign trade policy certain predefined IECs for individuals, for diplomats, for various categories are there. So please check those are issued under Section 7 or not. If it is issued under Section 7 of FTDR, then those people, any importer or exporter, can apply for an advanced ruling. So which means it's open for everyone exporting any goods to India. And the last one which they have added, with the justifiable cause to satisfaction of an authority, it is still open-ended. We don't know what, it is not restricting to importer, it is not restricting to exporter. Even tomorrow, for example, there is a 4PL concept which is coming into India. Even for them, we don't know. You can put, if there is a justifiable cause, obviously the authority will entertain. For further details, you can read Section 28E. All right. So the next slide, important. We have seen who can apply. Now, what are the questions can be subjected under advanced ruling? Very important. If you have Section 28H, you can keep it at your right side. It talks about classification, which is equivalent to European Union, BTI. I have given you the statistics. Valuation, which is equivalent to BVI, binding valuation information. Determination of origin, which is equivalent to binding origin information. Okay, so three things in a global platform we have complied. Then the fourth one, you can also apply advanced ruling on applicability of exemption notification issued under subsection 1 of Section 25. That is very important. So not all the notification, all any subsection 1 of Section 25 notification which is having a bearing on rate of duty, fourth one. Then applicability of notification issued under Customs Act, Customs Tariff Act, or any other law of customs duty, which means even for clarification on IGST, I have given it in the small footer there. Additional duty levied under CTA, for example, excise duty on petroleum products, anything which you deem as custom duty of customs, you can still anti-dumping, countervailing, safeguard, all the CTA related duties also, you can ask for advanced ruling. And the last point, E, under Section 28H, they have reserved any other matters government may specify by way of a notification, which we need to wait and see. I hope this is very clear to you. So which means what calls for wisdom, everybody cannot be mastering in every subject. Okay. Application of notifications, of course, it's part and parcel of everyone. But if somebody is mastering an FTA, somebody can say, yes, unless you prove these criteria, you cannot avail free trade agreement, or you cannot avail a CIPA, SIGA, or a PTA. If you are mastering on that, why don't you focus on that and develop today? Origin was never a criteria. Today we talk about more than valuation origin. More than valuation origin. Tomorrow, what are the other things that we can fit in? All this kind of an R&D that you can do, it is, in my view, a green pasture. If you see ELTs, if you see the case laws being judged, and if you see, okay, such and such things are already decided by the courts, so whom should we apply? India, new parties, existing parties. If you see in the next slide, we are going to see in 28I also, what are the criteria, the procedures in which that we can move this application before this authority. So two things is very clear to us now. The previous slide which says who can apply, answer is very simple, everyone. Everyone. Okay. And also anyone with a justifiable cause, which means even tomorrow 4PL can come and seek an advance ruling. Possible. We don't know, but still the thing is open-ended. Now, what are the 28H in every definition? When you read, they say only for 28H. This is 28H. You read it by heart yourself. A to E is there. F is said to be notified. A, B, C, D, E. That's all. 5 points can be memorized. So these are our playing field that we need to consider as green pasture. All right. Powers of this authority. Okay. Now they will hear. I'm in the first point. I'm putting one word called powers to hear all the application and petitions. Have you seen the difference? We know application. We put a review application. We put a application. It's a term. It's a settled term that we know what is application. But here, what we see, power to hear application and also petitions. Now, after you submit an application, if you think there are some additional grounds in which that you need clarification, you can still go and put a petition before the authority, and you can even ask. That is, it should happen before the order. So it's good. So while you're reading, something will pop up, or somebody will tell you some new stories, or some different countries, different jurisprudence would have given you a different verdict. So you are unsure about certain things, so you can still go and ask for it. So that is also entertaining. The authority has the power to accept your petitions also. One. If I'm reading rule 4 of the regulation, so if you are there with the rule, you can even read it along with me. The second rule, 4.2, there is one word. Even I don't have an answer, we can find an answer together. The rule says the authority may, in any difficulty arises in giving effect to the order or advance ruling, which means once they pronounce an order, either the applicant or the authorities unable to implement that ruling, unable to implement it. So there, suo moto or on a petition, within 30 days, if you apply, they can remove the difficulty and pass a fresh order. Beautiful, isn't it? So they have inherited this powers also. The third point is very important. When you read, it looks very simple. When all of us are familiar with personal hearings, before a matter to be decided by an authority, they will give you a personal hearing. Suppose you are not present on that particular day. Usual tendency is to pass an order ex parte decision, which all of us are very clear, familiar with it. Now here what they say, if you can provide a sufficient cause to the authority that why you were not present on that particular day of hearing, the authority can reopen the hearing and can give you a fresh hearing. How beautiful, isn't it? So I'm again telling you, you need to see every new things which is there under the rule. So it is basically to accommodate. It is not firm. It is not rigid. And you will see as you start reading the rule by itself, how they are, you'll enjoy. Okay. 4, examination of records. So basically what you need to understand, this authority has the same powers of a civil court. So they can go and do an inspection, enforcing attendance, examining under oath, issuing commission, and compelling production of books of accounts and other records. Okay, so this is a normal cut and paste from the civil code, like how all the other forums has the powers, the same way they also have a civil code power. Okay, so an authority, what powers they have, it is written in Rule 4. There are 5 rules are there. I've covered all the 5 rules, but you read it to yourself. For the difficulty, I don't have a good case study to give you an explanation, but whatever be the difficulty in implementation, also it can be appealed within 30 days. You can put a petition or suo motu, they can come and resolve that matter. Let's go to the next one. We are familiar with the word called registrar. Okay, it's very interesting and very simple. Earlier you had chairman, member. Now it's very simple. There is India, they divided into 2 parts. How do you say India divided into 2 parts? North and South. So which means Delhi, the south of India is below. Delhi controls, simple way to understand. I'm just giving an illustration for you to read. East and North controlled by Delhi, South and West controlled by Mumbai. Simple way for you to understand. That's it. Which means you have in 2 locations, the authorities are sitting. Now, who are these authorities? The authorities will be notified, a principal commissioner or a commissioner of customs. They are designated as authorities. Okay. So now this authority will have a registrar to assist them in the capacity of assistant commissioner. He will be known as, secretary, similar to registrar. So the new secretary is very simple. I have a principal commissioner or a chief commissioner of customs. To assist me, I have a secretary. The secretary is none other than an assistant commissioner. So the powers and the functions of the secretary is listed in Rule 5. It's just a mere procedural. I don't think I should read those provisions here. It's very simple. What he will be doing, he will receive and he will send and communicate and all the things are listed there. Okay, so you can read it for yourself. Okay, so the jurisdictional based I had explained to you, and important thing, you have to file a CAAR form before the jurisdictional authority, either in Mumbai or in Delhi. That's it. Suppose, so how this location is very important. Your IEC or your registered office is in Chennai, but you sit and operate in Delhi. Can I go to Delhi? The answer is no. Where the address office is registered, the registered office address to be taken for deciding the authority. Okay, so that you should keep it in mind. That has been clarified also. And then the application for rectification of any deficiency. Now, when you file a commissioner appeals, the date on which that they admit, but here the secretary will give examined and registered date. Suppose if the secretary says, okay, there are some deficiencies, there are some defects in your thing, and if he puts a time within 15 days or within a particular time that you need to do rectification, you take this application, do the rectification and come back. From that day will be taken as the accepted date. So the 3 months clock starts only from that date, not on the first time that you have submitted the application. All right. So here, another beautiful thing is, if suppose if you are taking time, you are not able to rectify that mistake, still the authority can hear the matter and they will go ahead and make a decision. So what they say, the substantial right what I have should not be disturbed because of the procedural lapse. So that's a beautiful opportunity that we have as well. So new items importer, so which I've already, okay, I can reiterate. New items importer, once the seal, same thing, the examined and registered seal to be obtained. And then this is a good point. Suppose you have an importer, the goods are ready there. You are not sure what duty or whatever the 28H that you wanted to get it clarified. You can still go and submit your application before the authority, get the secretary to put the stamp examined and registered, and still start the imports. This will not affect your eligibility, which means you don't need a ruling on hand. You can still start clearing the goods Maybe if the group is not in agreement, you can invoke PD clearance and you can still clear the goods. So this will not affect your eligibility. Okay, it's a very important point. Okay. So here I would like to say I'm now bringing in 28I. Okay. So 28I is very important. So what queries generally comes in importer's mind as well as the authorized representative here, section 146A, that is the custom brokers or the lawyers, which are the matter? That's a primary question which falls in our mind, because we have two stages. Okay. When you submit an application, that's the time, if they see a prima facie deficiency, they may reject along with the principal commissioner's feedback, and they'll give you an opportunity before rejection. That's the admission stage. And you have the final stage. There are two stages in which you can do that. So I'll bring you to 28I, which is more precise. So once you submit an application, once the authority receives, they forward your application to the principal commissioner or the commissioner concerned. For example, we are from Chennai. You submitted, so our authority sits in Mumbai. So I submitted the application in Mumbai. So Mumbai secretary will forward the same copies to Chennai PC, that's the principal commissioner or the commissioner of customs, for his inputs, necessary records. And the beauty here is they were given only 2 weeks to respond. It is not everlasting. They were only given 2 weeks. And also the law doesn't say calendar, it doesn't say working days. It says 2 weeks, which means anywhere, if it is not specifically saying working days, it should be assumed as calendar days, which means 2 calendar weeks we have the PC or the CC in Chennai to respond back. Now, once they respond based on the inputs, the authority can allow or they can reject. Okay, so this is a very simple understanding. The third point is very important. Now, what are all the cases where they will not allow strictly? Let me repeat. What are all the cases under section 28I to the proviso also reads, provided that the authority shall not allow the application where the question raised in the application is already pending in the appellant's case, before any officer, appellate tribunal, or any courts, which means you need to understand, if I import an X item and the matter is pending before an officer or tribunal or court, I cannot go and ask for an advance ruling. Same is the matter where a decision already made by an appellate tribunal or by any court. So this is a guiding principle for you to consider or not to consider, because section 28 allows you to bring in everybody, no problem, but you need to run this checklist and then to decide and guide your customers. I hope this is clear to all of you. Okay, effect. Binding on both parties. It is binding on the PC as well as his subordinates once a decision is pronounced by the authority. Of course, only principal commissioner can go and submit appeal before the appellate authority. Okay. When we go and submit appeal, we'll have to pay 15,000 rupees fees. When they go and submit appeal, there is no fees. Okay. Binding unless there is a change in law or facts. This is very important. Tomorrow, if you come to know that somebody has misrepresented the facts, or on a fraudulent manner, they gave some twisted information, department can demand the duty under section 28, but very categorically they said they will exclude the period beginning with the date of ruling and the ending date of the order declaring the ruling to be void. So that dates will be excluded for the purpose of section 28. All right. Now we have come to the third part and very important part. Okay. So here, till now, while I was talking, I don't know how many of you took notes, how many of you had some crisscross questions comes in your mind. we saw in the part one, it is a significant opportunity. This regulation is not something like what we have seen, because earlier when it came, we never understood advanced ruling is so powerful. Only the lawyer communities, we draft so many applications, which I have seen during my tenure with Lakshmi Kumaran. There are so many advanced rulings that we have filed, but there's nobody there on the other side of the department to hear. So today, at that point of time, nobody focused, no custom brokers, no consultants focused, because they say, advanced ruling mein kya milte hai? Nobody, the institution itself is not functioning. What is the use of going and putting a petition before that? But when you have scores of testimonies around the world, scores of testimonies, proven statistics, now you should see this new regulation in a different way. Now, if I tell some experience of my own, probably you may say that's your perspective, that's your circumstances. So I would like you all to travel with me a few 100,000 years back, and I wanted to bring it in front of you what one man did, something which humanly not possible in BC 575, that is 575 BC. What one man called Nehemiah. Okay, so if you have Google, you can just Google it also. There was a king in Persia, that is current day Iran, is known as Persia in those days. The current day Iraq was known as Babylon in those days. Okay, so there was a king, Artaxerxes. Okay, Arta means son of Xerxes. So this man, when he was ruling, he had one person, a Jew, was he came into this province as a captive when the king of Assyria went and fought in the current day Israel. They took all the people as captive. So this man called Nehemiah, Nehemia, was a cupbearer. This cupbearer job is to taste anything before the king could eat or drink. So one day, this man had an interaction with this king. And he said, my city, that is Jerusalem, the current day capital of Israel is Jerusalem. He said, my city walls have been ruined, broken. The gates, the 12 gates of my city are completely burnt by King Nebuchadnezzar, who was the king of Babylon, who came 3 times, raided Israel, and took all the things, people, everything, and destroyed the city and the temple. So this particular king granted whatever this cupbearer asked. He said, I want leave, I want resources, I want finance, I want this, I want that. He took everything and he went back to Jerusalem with his available remnants. He started rebuilding the wall, the broken wall. He started repairing it. At that point of time, all the non-Jews were addressed as Samaritans. Okay, so there were 2 governors by name Sanballat. The history says Sanballat and Tobiah. So these 2 names, people, they said, they mocked at this man and said, have you come all the way traveling from Persia to rebuild this broken wall? It is not going to happen. You will not be able to succeed. And they even used one word, a little fox will jump on the wall and your wall will not be able to withstand. That is the capability of you building a wall. This man never spoke anything, never responded to them, but he accomplished, history says, the entire circumference of the walls have been built in 52 days. Remember, it was a scenario of ruins and rubbles for 140 years, rebuilt by one man with his determination in 52 days. You may think, why do I quote this here? Ladies and gentlemen, when I started the session, I said it's an opportunity. You too have 52 weeks in this month. Leave aside 2 weeks. You can rebuild the reputation. You can rebuild what we lost over the period of time, be it revenue, be it client base, be it knowledge because of the busyness, because of the transactional activities that we could not able to foresee what is coming in, what is happening globally, and how we should re-strategize. Now you have 52 weeks ahead to accomplish this. The authority has just formed. Now, all I'm requesting you, if any of you attending the session, never expect any green pasture, any fruits, if you are not willing to plant a seed. Are you in a need? When Mr. Vijay Kumar, when he started, he expressed directly the trauma which the industry goes through. Today is the day that you plant a seed. You may plant in this season, Q1, but you will reap the harvest in the right time. The harvest, remember, will be more than what you sow. What do I mean here? I humbly request, I do not know whether I will have an exciting topic like this to speak to you again, because having read the TFA thoroughly, having seen the implementation before 2022, whatever comes in, it's all going to be in digital based. This is the only opportunity. Open your Act, Section 146. The Act says, who can appear before an authority? I can say in simple terms, a lawyer can apply, a professional can apply, a custom broker can go and stand before the authority and advocate. Imagine the entire litigation from this bucket A can get shifted to bucket B with your help. Today, we as a community are silent. So consultants are emerging, chartered accountants, lawyers, law firms are emerging, and they are taking the creamy layer of all what is due to you and me. Now, the determination calls you to do this. All of us. I'm not encouraging, I'm telling you the fact. If someone in the world comes and talks to me, I am from this industry, I am doing this manufacturing, I will be able to engage with them for a good number of minutes in understanding this project. Why? Because of custom brokers classification knowledge. Because we can understand from chapter 1 to chapter 98, any articles, any raw materials, any products in the world, we know what it is and how it will have its combination and what it will produce. We can, if somebody comes and says, I'm manufacturing plastic, immediately our mind can go back and say, okay, plastic is manufactured from LDPE, HDPE, classifiable under 39. When somebody comes and talks about fabric, rubber, iron, steel, alloy, must be it an article, everything, this one community is already having surplus knowledge in their head, surplus knowledge, but they are not focused because of their routines and their transactions. Today, it calls for wisdom for you to plant your seed into the ground. When the seed dies, it will give you shoots. Don't keep your seeds in your pocket. Don't keep your seeds in your pocket. Throw your seeds. Sow your seeds. You may say, okay, boss, I have sown. Reap is not there. Of course, try to sow your seed in a good land, because many are sowing roadsides, you're sowing seeds. What is happening? Some birds comes and takes away. So you won't get anything. Some of you may sow the seeds on a rocky surface. It will sprout out, but over the period of time, it will not get enough water and it will also die. Some of the seeds will go and you may put it in some kind of a thorns in between. So the problems of COVID, finance, pressure, complaints, and all these things will crush and it will never let your plant to grow. But only one area in which if you sow, that is a good soil, it will grow and you will be able to reap 30-fold, 60-fold, and 100-fold returns. I'm not saying everybody will reap 100-fold returns. We are mediocres. We are not professionals. But still, we have attained royalty for a time like this. We can reap our share. So what it requires? Only one thing. Only one thing. Give up 1 hour of your sleep. Give up 1 hour of your sleep. Take 3 friends together, 3 or 4 people together. You don't forget to go for a walking. You don't forget to do any of your routines. From today, plant this 1 hour. It has changed my life and I am still learning. It will change your life. 1 hour, read. It is there. These acts, what we are reading, it's not new. The regulation has just come out, notified. But when you see this in a combination, you will see, wow, now I can talk to this client. Now I can approach this client. Now, you can take a specialization and you can just move on. Wherever your heart moves in. For everybody, classification may not be the right cup of tea. What you like, you take it. Everyone has our own pie to play the game. So, if I may allow to make the statement, we are a privileged generation to see this transition from nothing to something, from laborious work to a complete ease of doing business. But everything is getting digitalized. Everything is simplifying and robbing, optimized. And in the name of improving efficiencies, in the name of increasing productivity, everything is revamped. But you have a path which will be untouched. Today, I used this analogy. That person called Sanballat, the governor's name, Sanballat and Tobiah, they laughed at Nehemiah and said, can you build a wall? Even a fox can break your wall. Today, people may look at you and say, do you know how to draft a petition? Do you know how to draft a letter? They may ridicule you, but don't give up. Don't give up. It is not a cumbersome. I am giving you a tips. Harvard, write it down in your book. Don't miss it. Harvard Blue Book. Just go to YouTube. Don't even go to YouTube. Just go to Google Harvard Blue Book. It's just a PDF file you will get. I'm giving you this tip. What differentiates a lawyer and a non-lawyer? They follow the Harvard Blue Book. It talks about where to use, what font to use, how a paragraph, how spacing, where to put full stop. If a good submission before an authority to be made, it should be in a professional way. That professional way is captured in Harvard Blue Book. Download it. Today itself you read it. No lawyers. What is lawyer? I have seen from the law college how unknown principle-based lawyers are coming and how in 2 years they are excelling. Nothing but information. Learn to share information. If you know something, don't hold it. Share it in a study group. Some of you are studying with me on a daily basis. Likewise, you create groups. You don't need 10 people, 15 people. 2 or 3 your own friends, take it. Now, if you see Harvard Blue Book and if you master that, I am telling you, you can draft a petition than any best lawyers in the country, number one. Number two, why don't you think of applying for a law degree? I thought it's a very cumbersome thing. Why don't all you people start writing, applying for a PhDs? All these custom brokers should be known as doctors and lawyers. It is simple. There are people, they don't even go to college. They just go and give attendance and they manage it. They go for the early morning classes. Many people, 7 o'clock to 10 o'clock, and they come and work. But you can get a law degree. It's simple. And with the knowledge what you have on the valuation and the customs tariff and all these acts and the rules and regulations, reading a law book is nothing for you. In just 2 days, you can just cross over. You all can, in 52 weeks, you can master a lot of things. And in a short span, this entire custom broking community, not only serving India, if you master how to draft application, there is a huge need in Brexit, in UK. People are saying we don't have people. We don't know what to do. We became a country now, and there are no consultants. The needs are huge. People are trying to migrate again from Europe at a big cost, opportunities, global opportunities to become a consultant. We are worried about, sometime back, I was just talking to someone. One client had asked for some information, and one person was telling another person, please refrain in giving that information. Otherwise, you will be held responsible. Come on, take this as a challenge. Never insist on signing checklist. You take the accountability. You give me a bill of entry. I will prove my worthiness. I don't want your checklist approval. You give me your invoice and packing list. I'll file it in 5 minutes. It's my take. Take that accountability. When you have knowledge, you can able to make that statement. My friends, for me, it's an opportunity. For me to stand and address you stalwarts. I don't even know your face. I don't know from which city you are in and what status of mind in which that you are in. But it's an opportunity for me to speak to you and seize it. Seize it. If you miss this bus today, probably we will regret. I'm sure you will survive. That's not our motto. This community has to stand. Every customs officers should salute us, not because of the car in which that we travel, or the perfume that we put, or the attire that we have, for the knowledge what we possess. When you walk into an AC's room or a DC's room, they should stand up and they say, please sit down. We were looking for someone like you. That's the statement that you should hear. All it requires is 1 hour of planting the seed. And if you do that, I'm sure as a community that we can shine in this country. Also, we can expand our horizons to many other countries where the needs are still there. With this statement, I would like to close and appreciate your time and the opportunities given to me. May the Lord bless everyone to excel, and we will support each other in our journey. Thank you.
Thank you, Joshua. It's been a very wonderful session. I'm sure all have been enriched with your knowledge, and I'll request Shankar Bhai to take it further.
Yeah, thanks, Joshua, for a wonderful presentation. And it just comes with opportunity, opportunity, and opportunity. Now it's untapped things which we really need to look into it, where our members will really find it interesting. And with your guidance, I'm sure most of the things with the eye openers and will have an opportunity. And you rightly said, like once you have the way, the will, there is a way. And downloading just by Harvard Blue Book, if you're able to give the representation, you don't need a lawyer, and you yourself is become a lawyer. You may not have a degree, but still you can still be like a lawyer and represent the cases and take that opportunity, grab that. It's something new for them because they're also taking all inputs from us. It's only the way they represent to the authorities is make a difference. Otherwise, inputs is given by us only to the lawyers also. So this is one way we lack. Agree with you that, but with this we will also start education on how to represent the cases. So that will also help our members to represent the cases. With this, I would take forward for the question and answer session. And if there are some questions, Nirav, you can put up share on the screen if there are some questions, so we can have Mr. Joshua to answer those questions also.
Shankar, can I ask a question straight away?
Yeah, Ramaji, go ahead.
Joshua, I just want to know, is this advance ruling applicable? If I'm an applicant, is that advance ruling applicable for everybody, or it is limited to me only?
The definition of applicant is to be seen. There are, number one, in section 28EC, you can see who is the applicant who can apply. All importers and exporters. And I had told in the presentation also, anyone, if you have an IEC issued to you, you are an applicant, number one. And if you have a justifiable cost other than the IEC holder also can apply. Okay. So what are those justifiable costs which we need to see? Even I don't have an experience to comment on that, but the provision is already there, incorporated in section 28E. Okay. So which means in other countries, even the freight forwarders, even the authorized representatives, even they can also, working on behalf of an importer, can also seek for a ruling. That is what my understanding, that still needs to be ratified. Otherwise, a simple response is 28E1C very clearly says who can apply. So these are the people can become an applicant, sir.
No, Joshua, I was asking, is the applicant only will be the beneficiary for the advance ruling sorry?
Yeah, if Rama sir is applying and it is binding only on you.
That's what I was asking.
Very clear. That's binding only on you.
Yeah,
and Shankar cannot take that precedent. See, for example, you can read BMW case, which is still there in CBIC website itself, and how BMW got an advance ruling, and it is only for them, not for Mercedes. How Harley Davidson got an advance ruling, and it is only for them, not for others. So those things can be seen as an example.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Just for the clarification, Ramaji, what you asked is on that lines only. Like when you see, even if he's not an IC, like if I am a custom broker and I have 3 identical importers who get the same product, everything identical from same country and everything. In that case, if the importers are 3 and if I has a custom broker, with that identical, can we apply for the advance ruling and get the advance ruling with regard to valuations or duty, and then it could be applied to any of the importers? Is that possible?
First point, how you need to dissect it. First, you need to qualify, are you an applicant? Whether custom broker is an applicant, you can represent as an authorized representative, you can represent, that's a difference. Under the applicant, you need to satisfy section 7 of FTDR. Do you have an IEC? First question. Okay. Are you exporting goods into India? You are not exporting goods into India. Okay. And any other justifiable cause, maybe you are deeming yourself as a 4PL. Then you need to first get that clarified, because at the moment, C1 and 2 very clearly says only for these people, importers and exporters, can apply for advance ruling, number 1. And identical imports of 3 people, yes, you can do. For example, Siemens is importing MRI machine, Wipro is importing an MRI machine, Toshiba is importing an MRI machine. All 3 are MRI, imported by 3 different people. So all 3 are 3 different entities of section 7 FTDRA, so they can apply. So there is no problem in that. But if Siemens MRI is pending in any of the courts currently, which I told you in section 28I2, or if the courts have decided whether to classify it under 9018 or 9022, a decision has been made, then Siemens should refrain from applying it. But still Wipro and Toshiba can apply. Shankarji?
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, Nirav, is there any, in the meantime, I would request if members would like to ask some questions, they can raise hands. So, then we have that members details on the top. Yeah, the virtual hands up. I will take some questions from the audience first, and then we can come to a screen. Mr. Rajesh Gosalia ji.
Sir, Shankarji, before that, Mr. Samir Shah, our
then I
past
can't
chairman.
Yeah,
No, he would like to address also.
Good evening, Samir sir. Good evening.
Hi, Joshua. Sometimes I wonder whether you are a lawyer or you are a motivational speaker, I get always confused with that. I think you've laid out a great alternate career for yourself,
Thank you, sir.
Of course, you have to still scale much bigger heights in the law field. One thing which I have been noticing, Joshua sir, in the whole thing is that there are 2 things. One is what happens when it is subsequently found out that the advance ruling was given wrongly by the department. That is number 1. And number 2 is right from the time this advance ruling has come in, and somebody has also asked that as a question, why do people look at using advance ruling to avoid litigation? Because I would assume that when I am in the regime of self-assessment and ignorance of the law is no excuse, I should know my job, no? So I cannot be resorting to advance ruling only to cover my doubts. There has to be a proper reason for going in for advance ruling. So if you would like to throw some light on these 2 points, please.
Sure, sir. Sure. First point, what you said is, what if ruling is given incorrectly? You have an option to appeal further. So under Article 4, we have constituted an appellate advance ruling mechanism where the chair.
1 minute. No, that was not what I said. What I said was that the advance ruling is given. Subsequently, at the time of custom clearance, it is noticed that the authority made a mistake. So
Give me
I
an
become
example,
the
sir.
aggrieved. So I become the aggrieved. I relied on the advance ruling and I imported a consignment. And after it, at the time of actual processing, it is noticed that the department made a mistake in giving me the advance ruling. I would assume that for that particular clearance of mine, the department should not proceed against me.
Sir, if you see, this particular authority has one power. Okay. That power I have explained under Rule 4 to you, where it says there is an order. Now you use a word called mistake. Okay. The authority using a beautiful procedures within themselves to avoid that mistake, what they do, they send your application to the concerned PC and get their inputs, and finally they are deciding, number one. So I don't know what you term as mistake here. However, if there is a mistake, an order has come. Now you take that order and you start importing, and you are going to Gujarat and you're presenting this advanced ruling and you're asking for classification, or you're asking for the benefit. The authority says, no, there is an error. It cannot be. If they say Supreme Court has ruled, then there is no meaning for authority. That is why it is saying, once the authority pronounced an order, it is binding, and no inference can bring in from any courts also. Even if it is mistake, it is binding. So that is point number one. Second, that binding order cannot be implemented in certain terms. I put a disclaimer when I was doing that Rule 4. I myself at this stage do not know what are the difficulties in giving an effect to that order. That is what exactly you are coming in. There, within 30 days, as a petitioner, you or Sumoto department can file a petition and can remove the difficulty, remove the error, and pass a new order. So this is there in Rule 4. Samir sir, does that answer your question?
It does. It does.
It has, very clearly. Okay. Thank you. What is the second question you asked? I just kept the focus on.
The question was that would not people like to resort to advance ruling just to cover their doubts in advance?
Okay, see, there are two ways. If there is a ETC route, I generally prefer the ETC route. Even at a cost of paying additional amount, I prefer ETC route. Because I don't have an ETC route, I'm going on the queue. That is what in India happening. I don't have an advanced ruling effective implementation in India. So I'm going on the regular route. Because once the rule comes in adverse, till date, adverse against me, then it is binding on me. It is a sure flaw on me. That is why today I have an appellate mechanism. At least I can go on appeal. So this new ETC routes have started. Now people should consider moving from the queue to this route for the following three specific reasons. One, I have a transparent way of doing business. There is reduction in litigation, and there is a certainty. I know exactly before I input what duty I am going to pay. So this was tasted by many other countries. And that is why I gave the European Union example, how people are exploiting the BTA and BVI in BOIs. So probably for this reason, you should go for this new way.
All right, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, Neerav.
Thank you, Samir bhai.
Neerav, questions on the screen?
Questions, there are not many, sir, but I think there were a couple of hands raised. You can.
One second. From panelists, any other questions? No issues. We have questions. We'll go serially. We have Mr. Rajesh Gosalia here. We will just unmute. Yeah. Mr. Rajesh Gosalia.
Mr. Joshua.
Yes, sir.
Go ahead, Rajesh bhai.
We have been reaping your benefits for the last, at least I am reaping its benefits for the last 5 years.
Oh.
And I have changed my focus from a custom broker to a customs consultant already. 5 years, the journey has been very wonderful. this year, in spite of the pandemic, we have been able to save 3 crore rupees of our importers and get remuneration for that activity also. So it's a new vertical for us. And all along the way, we have taken your help, maybe through sessions or on YouTube, wherever, but we have taken help from you. Thank you for the help.
It's my pleasure, sir.
One thing I found very strange is that European Union, when you referred that 10 lakhs cases have been where advance ruling was asked. Is there still such a huge amount of cases where merit is required? That means it could be either way, because duties in European Union normally tend to be at the same percentage for different headings.
Okay, good question. Even we had that question. Number one, what you should do is you should divide 10 lakhs into number of years. Okay, so which means 10 lakhs divided by 30, which will bring it to an average of 50. And there for everything, even if there is a slightest combination, they don't take chances. The first thing is the process, like going to a broker. They have a specialized BTI, BVI agent who immediately draft an application and they do it. So their culture itself, one thing is, even though the duties are simplified, the procedures are simplified, but still the culture is that they need to go on an advance ruling. Even they don't want a slightest 1 thou difference. So that is why it is encouraged. There are settled items. This constitute only 23% of the total movement in Europe. So 23% of these people are still choosing to prefer advance ruling options, sir.
Okay, that is one thing. Second, what I want to say is that for us, the importers and exporters approach us at the last moment. So there is hardly any time for us to approach any authority.
See, for example, if there is a consignment which is ready for shipment in a particular country, and it will take, the transit time is going to be like 15 days to 20 days. Okay. Now, when you receive a pre-alert document, that's when you come to know there is a shipment is going to be like. You as a broker should be able to foresee what kind of a problems that you may anticipate for this filing. And then you should substitute with this new 28E and see, is there a possibility of going and seeking advance ruling? Okay. Now, it should not be a regular item, have been imported in the past, it should be a new item, all the criteria of 28E. If you find that you can fit into 28E, then you should recommend your importer by way of a good education. Yes, I told you in one slide, I don't know whether you were heeding to that. Even after filing, that's not going to change your eligibility, I mentioned. Okay. So which means it takes 2 days for us to prepare an advance ruling, drafting. Okay, 2 days, maximum 3 days for a review. So in 2 to 3 days or a week's time, we can file this application. But as on today, it's only one member. The institution is not up and running, but probably very soon it will be up and running. So you can file it and get an, normally what we do, you go and present an application and you get an acknowledgement. Here, you have to get a stamp on your application saying examined and registered. Okay. If you could able to get this stamp after removing the deficiencies spotted by the secretary, that is the so-called assistant commissioner, then you can directly import that item without any problem. Even without a ruling, you can still clear it with a PD bond, showing that it is pending production of advance ruling. I have already got this examined and registered. That is more than enough for you to clear all your shipment. The customs may ask you for a simple PD bond based on the guarantee status, what you have. You are an AEO or a non-AEO, what is the percentage of bank guarantee, and you can still clear it. And they have a binding of 30 days, 90 days to 60 days to dispose these cases. So it is again a time-bound manner. It's not going to be everlasting 1 year, 2 year and all. They will immediately give it to the concerned PC who need to respond within 2 weeks. And these people will give a order in your favor after hearing you. So altogether, the process is within the timeline. So definitely you should use this. So the fulcrum here is you as a broker should be able to distinguish, yes, it will fit in. Then you can talk to your importer or exporter. If you are not sure, then probably that's where you are missing the bus.
Last question.
Please.
Will it also apply to the Allied Acts? Because today, most of the objections from customs are about the Allied Acts and not about classification or...
Sir, I had again and again asked you to read 28H. It is only, even if you want, you open your camera and show your finger like this, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and keep it in your mind. It is only for this 5. It is only for this 5. The 6th one is yet to be notified. What are those things I said? Classification, valuation, origin, applicability of notification under subsection 1 of 25, and any other tax concerning customs. I gave that example of excise, IGST, etc. Only this. So short, no Allied Act.
Thank you, sir. Thank you very much.
You're most welcome, sir.
Thanks, Rajiv. Thanks, Mr. Joshua, for that kind words and explanation. We have Mr. Sriram. We have very less time now. We have hardly 5 minutes. I would request members to limit your questions so we can complete the session in time. We have Mr. Sriram here. So I'll just request Mr. Sriram to...
Sir, you can take down this 1 of 21. The questions which is coming out from you are all their answers are written very clearly. And this is not a complicated notification. Very simply, nicely drafted. I would request everyone to read this today itself once, and then read section 28. If you still have any questions, then you say, under section 28(1), I have this following query. Then you post it to the association. I will respond every query that you are posting within 24 hours. I can give you this guarantee. Okay, so it will help you to resolve 50% of your queries after you reading it. If you still can't understand, highlight that provision and ask clarification. I will respond to you, sir.
Sir, a recent ruling has been passed in New York. Whether it can be referred here in India, when the consignment is expected to arrive, means the consignment is a new consignment only, but similar order has been passed in a New York ruling, whether it has a persuasive value in India.
Yes, sir. So US cross rulings always respected. US cross rulings, Australia, European Union, all the cross rulings. That means what we say is different jurisprudence, what they have told, we will take it into value because that's a matured country. But it does not mean because there is a ruling there, I will still follow that. If it is to an advantage to a revenue, then probably they may ignore your submission. They may say, okay, you give it to me in writing, we will consider. Because they may also come out with similar adverse ruling from the same US itself. So there is a possibility. So these are only like circular. It is only guiding. Okay, there is a jurisprudence developed. Why not we consider? So some officers may consider. If they have a different view, which is having a direct impinging effect on the revenue, they may not consider also.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Mr. Ganpati, your question, please.
Good afternoon, Mr. Joshua. It was extremely inspiring and motivational. I am very sure we would all be benefited by this talk. I had a small question. I think it's not very relevant, whether it is for only consignment which is on the way or arrived, or it could be for something we think about in future.
Okay. So advanced ruling concept is, if you, I told you, if you're there in the presentation also, again I'm reiterating, I don't want, it's very simple for, there is no question of transit goods or new goods. It is only eligibility. Whether you can apply for a particular product, yes or no. The answer is you can apply, subject to you satisfying section 28I, that's all. What does section 28I says? That you should not have any pending matter before any courts, okay, on the same product, identical product. Suppose if you say that you are importing a ground power unit, okay, this matter was already decided by Max and Supreme Court, whether to classify a ground power unit of an aircraft which you would have seen in all the airports as part of aircraft under 8803 or not? That was the question. Now, Supreme Court already said, tribunal already said, yes, it is part of aircraft. Okay. And Supreme Court also rejected department appeal and matter upheld. So now, for that one party called MAK, ground power unit, what you see in airport, is part of aircraft. Okay, so that is a settled position. Now today, technology advanced. Now there is an air conditioner compressor which is put in the same GPU. Are you with me, sir?
Yeah. Listening, sir.
One additional air conditioner compressor giving air conditioning effect to the entire unit, which was not there in the earlier. So now what we can argue, saying that it's a complete different upgraded model. Though MAC is binding, still I would like to file an advance ruling and I can ask for it. So that is how, correct, sir. That is how you have to understand whether to fit in as an accessory, whether to fit in as a part, you can ask for it. Because all are having valuation and all are having classification dispute. So you can consider 28H 2A and you can file. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you. This last question we will take from the audience, and just we will just, if the time permits, from question and answer. Otherwise, we would request our members, and most of the questions in this question and answers which has been displayed have been already been answered. So maybe some which are unanswered, we'll take one of them. Others, we will have the call to write to the FFFAI, and we will revert on that questions also. The last question I would request Mr. Padmanabhan is also lower his hand, so I don't think so there's any question left from the audience also. So I would go back to these question and answers which has been displayed. Nirobha, any questions over there?
Yes. So basically, I think most of the questions raised were covered by Joshua, but I'll just read out a couple of them before we can end such session. One question was whether the advance ruling can impact any of the previous shipments which have been, already imported.
Prospective.
Yeah. And can a foreign supplier apply for a advance ruling in India?
Very good. Good
may
question.
Have several importers.
Yeah. A foreign supplier who does not have a PE can apply, not in Mumbai, only in Delhi. Possible.
Okay, great. Thanks. We have Mr. Padmanabhan who wants to have some question. Yeah, Mr. Padmanabhan.
Good evening, Mr. Joshua and all my colleagues in FFFAI. First of all, I must thank you for the very nice presentation and also the motivational speech. Like my colleague Samir said, I think you took us to the King Solomon days in Jerusalem and all that. I suspect whether you are a Freemason, because I am a one. So I thought you must be a Freemason and quoting from King Solomon days. Anyway, that apart, my question to you is the advance ruling rules. How does the special valuation will be viewed? How the special valuation rules will be viewed? You said the valuation rules are binding insofar as the advance rulings are concerned. So how the special valuation rules are viewed by the advance ruling authority? I would like to know.
Sir,
thank you.
If you see thank you, sir. If you see, thank you for the compliments and thank you for the queries as well. 28H2 very clearly see, which says the principles to be adopted for the purposes of determination of value of the goods under the provision of this act. So which means the principles under section 14 read with the CVR 2007, if you have, for example, you take a royalty treatment, so or a condition of sale matter, where customs is taking a position, it is not a condition of sale and the value to be included. That's how the customs has said, because I have a precedent in this particular judgment. Now you are offended by that decision. If you apply the decision, probably you will suffer a huge loss. Okay, if the values are included into it. Now what do? Where will you go? You import, customs will include the value. Then you pay the duty under protest, and then you will go for an appeal. And all of you know, commissioner appeals will not give a relief. Then you sort tribunal, you may get a relief after 4 years, and then matter will travel, because it is valuation, it will go to Supreme Court. So you don't want to wait for 6 years, 8 years to get this decision in your favor. So now what you do, you file it in advance ruling and you specifically say these, when we draft or you draft for that matter, we say this is my facts and these are the precedents which being followed in other jurisprudence. And in India also this is there. So we wanted you to clarify whether this has to be included or to be excluded. That's it. The authority will give a view. So they will write this application to the concerned principal commissioners and ask what are you saying? They will give a response saying very clearly, Supreme Court has already decided on that matter, such and such value to be included. Okay. But still the authority can either second or they can consider your merits, whatever that we have submitted, and can pass another different order, which the principal commissioner may get offended and he will go to appellate advance ruling in our own country. And he may get a positive or negative order. That's how it is. So this is how matters to be taken into valuation rules, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Otherwise, if you have any specific questions, you can reach out to me. We can talk about that. There are a lot of instances which we can't generalize it. So many cases which we can talk about on valuation itself. You can reach out to me. So we can talk.
Thank you.
Thanks,
Thank you, sir.
Thanks, Mr. Joshua, for that clarification. With this, we thank to all the members for participating also and giving the questions for the enlightening the knowledge of the members over here across. And I would now request Mr. Dushan Mullar to summarize for the session.
Yes, thank you, Joshua. Thank you to all audiences. It's been a very well attended program today. And the content, Joshua, that is you've been godsend help for all of us. Your insights have been valuable, enriching for the entire fraternity. And the most important aspect is that the law point which you touched in this have been so very well conveyed to the entire audience that everybody has understood the process. And yes, we would request you to please share your PowerPoint. We'll be circulating it to our members.
Sure.
And yes, and since custom brokers are along with lawyers, advocates have been authorized under this one of 2021 notification to appear before the Advanced Ruling Authority, that's going to be a big vertical which a custom broker can look up to. And sure, we would be seeking your help in this. So thank you, Chairman, Mr. Vijay Kumar, sir, for your continuous motivation to the entire team. You've been after us to conduct so many programs. And yes, all audiences and my fellow custom brokers, without your support, this would not have been possible. So thank you all. Do write to us in case if you need any further information. Thank you. Thank you, Joshua. Bye.
Thank you, everyone.
Thanks, all.
Thank you, Mr. Joshua.
Thank you. See you all in a great heights. Bye-bye. Have a great weekend.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.